What is up there? Sea of Red Sports here with a Nebraska Cornhuskers season preview and predictions. So today we are doing the season preview, including just a quick update on what's happening with the team. And to get started, I really want to first thank Nebraska and Ohio State for really being the teams that were fighting to bring this college football season to us. If it wasn't for them, we would probably just have the ACC, the SEC, the Big 12, the Sun Belt, Conference USA, and the American Conference playing. Those would be the only conferences that play. We wouldn't have the Big 10, the Pac-12, the Mountain West, and the MAC come back. So I really want to thank Ohio State and Nebraska for fighting so hard to bring football back. And I'm just so grateful that Big 10 football, my favorite football, has returned. So with that being said, we are going to get to the season predictions for this video. And we're going to start with a roster preview for Nebraska just real quick here. Starting quarterback Adrian Martinez will be the starter once again this season for 2020 season. However, we do have some good news, and that is that there is a quarterback battle with him and Luke McCaffrey. And the reason why I say that's good news is I prefer Luke McCaffrey as quarterback. With the limited play he had last season, he showed an ability to do something that Adrian has not shown, and that is to make good decisions, not to make throws that are going to be picked off and intercepted. He's going to make nice strikes. Luke McCaffrey just seems to be the better game management capable quarterback. Now, maybe he doesn't have the highest upside. Maybe he's not as athletically capable as Adrian, but he's not going to turn the ball over at least once every game. We can't be having that and then think we're going to win games. So, Luke McCaffrey, I think, will be the better quarterback option. And spoiler warning, by the end of the season, he will be starting for Nebraska. I really think that Adrian will not make it through this entire season as the starter. Either he'll get injured, which I hope that doesn't happen, because really I don't want any of our starters, or really anybody, to get injured. But unfortunately, it's the reality of football, and Adrian seems to be very injury prone. So Luke McCaffrey is going to have to start at some point. And I think it'll be within the first 4 games. He's going to start sometime in there. But Adrian will be the starter for QB for game 1. Obviously, he has the upside being able to make big plays. He can hurry up the offense very quickly. He can play tempo very well. And he's very athletic. He can be a dual threat quarterback. He just has the tendency to throw a lot of picks, make bad decisions, that sort of thing. Fortunately, we have 4 of our offensive linemen returning, including the center Cam Jurgens, so that is really good news. Really, in this COVID season, experienced offensive lines have shown that they do very well. Even if they weren't that great the previous season, which the Nebraska offensive line, while it wasn't great last season, it did improve, which is good. We were better at the end of the season than we were at the beginning. And we're going to be coming here with some experience, facing teams who maybe don't have as experienced offensive or defensive lines, and we could actually see the offensive line get some push. We get to see them get some nice blocks. I really want to see good things out of the offensive line. I have very high hopes for them. Receiving wise, we pretty much have Wan'Dale Robinson, and that's it. J.D. Spillman transferred away to TCU. That's really the biggest news that we have over the offseason. We didn't really have any players opt out, which is very good news, because many teams have had issues with players opting out and opting back in. Nebraska, just our players and coaching staff, and even the president and other staff members at the university have been very focused on Nebraska football playing, which I really think that is going to eventually bode well for Nebraska's season. That everybody is focused on playing football, and they want to do this 100%. I think you're going to see that result in some wins through the season. And the fact that the people here, we want to play football, and that's a very big deal to us. So defensively, we do have some issues. We're starting, I want to say, 3 new players on the defensive line. Our secondary does have some experience, so I'd like to see how that works. But defensively, we're not looking that very good. I'm sorry, it's just the fact. And our wide receiver core, going back to the offense side ball, is going to be good. We're going to have Wan'Dale Robinson coming back, who can not only receive, he can also run the ball. So he could be really, really good. I really like his possibilities. And I think he will have a very good season this year. We have some great freshmen coming in behind him, so I'd like to see what we have there. And then we also have running back, who is Dedrick Mills, and he was showing some improvement last year as well. He actually got some good running in, and he was able to finally be kind of what we were expecting, hoping he would. Somebody who could be elusive, somebody who could plow through people, just get those yards. Very good. And he'll be that way as well. There are some players I'm really interested to see how they turn out. We got a transfer kicker. I want to say he came from LSU, could be wrong with that. I'm really excited to see how Rasad Ibrahim, I believe that's how his name's pronounced. I'm really excited to see how he turns out. He played a little bit last season, I believe, in the Iowa game and in the Maryland game. He played a lot in the Maryland game, and I was really impressed with him. So I'd like to see what he can do. And it'll just be interesting to see how this Nebraska team looks this year. With that being said, our schedule is not easy. It's very obvious the Big Ten did not like the fact that Nebraska and Ohio State really wanted to play because they gave teams that made more noise harder schedules. It just is a fact. Now, we were scheduled to play the schedule. However, they did also remove our easiest opponent, which was Rutgers. Could we have had Rutgers instead of Penn State? That would have been real nice, but they decided not to do that. So we start on October 24th at 11 a.m. on the road at the Horseshoe to play Ohio State. Now, road games won't matter as much because there is not going to be any crowd. Now, I'm sure there'll be some fake crowd noise piped in to stadiums or speakers, and obviously there is still the intangibles of going on the road. You have to book a flight, you're kind of maybe a little bit jet lagged. The facilities are nowhere near as nice for the road team as they are for the home team. There's intangibles like that are still a factor. But the typical things like crowd noise that can be quite a disruption aren't really going to be an issue. So home field advantage isn't going to matter as much in the Big Ten this year. And also, this is the week 1 matchup. However, Ohio State is just simply way, way better than Nebraska. Ryan Day has not shown the problem where he would, accidentally lose to a Big Ten West team. Urban Meyer had that problem quite a bit. Ryan Day has shown that he does not have the problem. He will plow through and destroy the competition he's supposed to destroy. And then he will play well against the teams he's supposed to play well against. This Ohio State team is looking to make the playoffs once again and avenge their loss to Clemson and maybe win the title this year. They have an offense led by Justin Fields. They have Chris Olave coming back. They have transfer from Oklahoma. And they just are going to look really good this year. Defensively, they may not be as good as last year. And they're definitely not going to be as good during this first game. And that's because it is the first game and they haven't had a spring practice really. We're going to see some rust in this game from both teams. We have seen that so far for the teams who played before, that their first game was rougher than some of the games they played later. So we're going to see some busted coverages, we're going to see some missed tackles, and we're going to see on both sides. So, the line for this game, I believe last time I checked, which was very recently, in the last few hours, was 26 points Ohio State's favored by. The over-under was around 67 points. Ohio State is going to win. There's just no way to put it than that. I predict Ohio State will beat Nebraska 48-20. Now the reason for that score is because I think Ohio State's going to have a couple of busted coverages, missed tackles, that sort of thing, which will end up in a couple of big plays for Nebraska and will end up scoring some points. Not enough to really be competitive or to win the game, but enough to kind of stick around in it. I think we'll put up about 20 points, 2 touchdowns, 2 field goals, which will be pretty good, to be honest. But it's not going to be enough to win the game. So, the following week, we go back home to play Wisconsin on the October 31st. It's a 2:30 game. We played on FS1 versus Fox Sports noon primetime game the week before because, it's Ohio State. This time we played Wisconsin. Now, Wisconsin has had some issues in the offseason. They had times where they were not practicing. They quit practicing for a while. And I'm so for those of you who are athletes and such, you know that when you have stopped practicing for a while, you kind of get out of shape. Even if you didn't practice for just a week, you get out of shape by not practicing. And Wisconsin had that. So they're going to be a little bit behind a team like Nebraska physically, where Nebraska kept playing the whole time. So Nebraska doesn't have as good as athletes as Wisconsin. They're not even as physical. But Nebraska kept practicing, and so they're going to have that edge a little bit. Wisconsin's Week 1 matchup is against Illinois. I expect them to roll in that one. They're looking for revenge against Illinois. They're going to get it. They might overlook Nebraska, though. And I'm actually going to pick Nebraska to pull the huge upset against Wisconsin, because of the practicing I mentioned earlier, and they'll be starting a new quarterback in Grant Mertz. He is starting because Jack Cohn had a foot injury they had to have surgery for. He's probably out for the season. Grant Mertz, though, does have great potential. He is the highest rated quarterback recruit ever in Wisconsin history, and he's probably going to be very good. However, I think Wisconsin's going to drop a couple games they have no business dropping, and I think this is going to be one of them. Nebraska's going to come out fired up. They're going to come out amped up, wanting, hungry for a win, and I think this is going to be it right here. It's going to be the big signature win in the Scott Frost era, or at least the beginning of it. And Nebraska will beat Wisconsin. I'm going to say the Huskers defeat Wisconsin 31-27, and I think they beat them over turnovers. Next up, we go to the most underrated rivalry in all of college football, Nebraska-Northwestern. In the last 9 meetings between these teams, so basically ever since Nebraska joined the Big Ten, every single game has been decided by 3 points or less, except for one game. That's impressive. And Nebraska, for almost every single one of those seasons, has been better than Northwestern. Expect this game to be close once again. That's just the trend. It doesn't matter how terrible this Northwestern team is. They come out and they play Nebraska tough every single time. This team's going to be ready to come fight. And this is also at Northwestern. So I think this game is really close, but I do think Nebraska gets the win. This is probably going to be an ugly game, a very physical game, a low-scoring game. I think Nebraska wins 20-17. And then the following week, we go on the road to play Penn State. Penn State's going to be a very good team this year. They're going to be trying to make the playoff just like Ohio State. However, I think they will lose to Ohio State, and that'll be the one loss. This James Franklin-led team is going to be very good. They are going to have a fantastic defense. Now, of course, Micah Parsons opting out is going to take them down just a bit, but they're still going to have a great defense. The offense has some questions, mostly at the wide receiver position, but I do think they'll be fairly decent. Expect Penn State offensively to be similar to what you saw last year. I think, though, they will roll against Nebraska. They might start a little bit slowly, but I think they'll eventually get the RPO going, and they'll score up on Nebraska. I think they beat Nebraska 42-17. I think this is maybe the biggest blowout for Nebraska of the season, other than Ohio State. But Ohio State is going to let Nebraska keep it close because it's week 1. There's going to be some rustiness happening. Despite the score, I think Penn State will look way better than Nebraska. There'll be no doubt in anyone's mind. The game's going to be over within the first quarter. So that being said, we move to the November 21st game, and it's another road game at Illinois. Illinois is not terrible. However, if they didn't beat Wisconsin last year, they would not have made a bowl game. That's just the way it works. However, they can pull some nasty upsets. They have some upsides to them. I do like where this program is going right now. However, I don't think they're going to get the win against Nebraska. I think the Huskers are going to come out ready to play. I think it'll be a close game, though. So far I haven't had Nebraska beating anybody by a lot because this is a tough schedule. But I think both teams going to be motivated, looking for a win. But I think Nebraska wins. This could end up being a little bit of a higher scoring game. I think Nebraska wins 38-35. Next up, we move to the weekend of Thanksgiving, and the big game at Iowa has been moved to Friday, to the date we wanted, the day after Thanksgiving, the traditional Friday game right after Thanksgiving. It's going to be a good game. This one is at Iowa. I forgot to mention, I got it wrong. Illinois, Penn State actually are home. Northwestern on the road. Traveling to Iowa. Iowa is a little bit of an unknown factor at this point. They are either going to be great this year, or they're going to be terrible. And it's really going to determine how good the offense is. How does their new quarterback fit into the Iowa system? They return some of the best receivers, so they look like they're going to be good offensively, possibly. Defensively, they do lose several pieces, though, so they probably won't be as good there. It's just, I'm not exactly sure about this Iowa team, so got to see how they look week 1. And they play Purdue week 1, and that's a totally losable game. However, they have beat Iowa the last 5 years in a row. However, the last 2 meetings between these teams have been decided by a walk-off field goal by Iowa at the end of the game to win the game. I think Nebraska's going to come hungry to play. They're going to come wanting to win. Scott Frost and this offense are going to find a way to win. Maybe by this point the secondary for Nebraska, which is the strength of their defense, shows up to play. They able to bat down some balls, maybe get a pick or two, and win this game. This is going to be a close-fought game. I think Nebraska's going to win 30-27. Another very close win on the season yet again. So, there's only 2 games left in the regular season. Getting to the home stretch. We have at Purdue on December 5th, and then home against Minnesota on December 12th. The game on the road against Purdue on paper looks like it should be a win. However, they do have Rondale Moore coming back for his senior season before he goes into the NFL. That is scary. If you're a Husker fan, that should be terrifying. And I think Purdue's going to pull up what will probably be an upset against Nebraska. I think Purdue beats Nebraska. And the reason why is I have to pick an upset on both sides. Because pretty much every single season, a team beats somebody they have no business beating, and then they lose to somebody they have no business losing to. I think this is going to be Nebraska's loss. Purdue has had the Huskers' number during the Scott Frost era. We have not beat them yet, and I think we will lose to them once again. And I think we lose to Minnesota the final week of the regular season, December 12th. Minnesota is going to be very good. They have Rashad Bateman coming back. Their quarterback is really experienced. P.J. Fleck has built something at Minnesota that's truly great. This could be one of the best Minnesota teams in the entire program's history. I think they will go 8-0, win the Big Ten West, go to play Ohio State in the conference title game. We'll see how that prediction pans out. But I have them beat Nebraska fairly comfortably. I think they'll beat Nebraska 45-10. The Purdue game, I think Nebraska will lose that one. It's going to be a bit higher scoring. I'll say 38-34. So, we will after that have a game on Champions Week where we play someone who finished at the same level as us on the other division. So if we take a look at my predictions here, I have Nebraska going 4-4, which I think is the most realistic chance. Now, of course, you could say maybe Nebraska doesn't beat Wisconsin, but then maybe they beat Purdue. Something like that. But I think 4-4 is the most likelihood for this team. I think the Huskers want to play football. I think they're going to beat somebody they have no business beating. Of course, I have it as Wisconsin and I guess Iowa a bit too. I do think though Iowa's going to be a bit down this year, so that's why I think that's not going to be as huge of a deal necessarily. But it's a pretty big deal for the rivalry. So Nebraska's going to be 4-4. So that means we're probably going to face somebody on the other side who is also 4-4, something in that range. This will probably put also Nebraska right about smack dab in the middle of the Big Ten West. However, with wins over Iowa and Wisconsin, that would actually put Nebraska at third in the Big Ten West with how I'm thinking this is going to play out. Because I think Minnesota's going to go 8-0. I think Wisconsin's going to go 6-2, so they're going to be second place. Iowa, I also think, is going to go 4-4, just like Nebraska. However, the Huskers will have the tiebreaker, meaning that my Nebraska Cornhuskers will be third in the Big Ten West, with Iowa at fourth. And then I say Purdue is fifth, Northwestern is sixth, and Illinois is seventh. That means in the East, I think Ohio State's going to be 1-0. I don't really see them losing to anyone. Penn State, number 2 at 7-1. Michigan at 3. I would have Michigan at 4-4, losing to Wisconsin, Minnesota, Penn State, and Ohio State. So I think Nebraska most likely plays either Michigan or Indiana, who I think also probably goes 4-4. They might actually go 5-3 because I think they could beat Penn State this weekend. But those are my predictions for the season. I'd like to know what yours are. Write them in the comments below. Hope you guys enjoy this video. Thank you for watching. Have a great rest of the day. God bless you.